Hello all, my name is Paula Goodspeed. I'm a broker for the Goodspeed Group, and I'm a HUD listing broker for the new asset manager, A-Team Realty, and I work in the 5S area, which is California. I've been training agents for 12 years on the HUD process. I also list and market properties for HUD. This training that I'm giving today, Successfully Selling HUD Homes, has new updates on the HUD Home Store webpage and information from the new asset manager, A-Team Realty. We're going to learn about process of bidding on HUD homes, how to sign up, and contact information to where finding forms and disclosures and those kinds of things. So welcome today for Successfully Selling HUD Homes. So what is a HUD home? The definition is a 1 to 4 unit single family residence acquired as a result of a foreclosure on an FHA insured mortgage, offered for sale at market value based on a recent appraisal. They vary in price and location and condition. HUD homes are for sale throughout the state and throughout all states. Some are move-in ready and some are not. They're always sold as is. Understanding as is. There's no warranties, guarantees, or representations about the property, FHA insurable or otherwise. No repairs. Exception. The exception on the repairs is that the property will be safe, secure, and marketable when you go to show the property. The buyers are allowed and encouraged to get an independent home inspection, and buyers do not typically acquire liens or bills. HUD contractors, the companies, who's involved. HUD home marketing vendors. HUD Home Ownership Center is the one for California, is located in Santa Ana. We have a mortgagee compliance manager, which is called the MCM. Also working for HUD is a field service manager, and that particular field service manager for Arizona, California is Guardian Asset Management, and there's one per state. And of course, the asset manager for California is A-Team Realty, and there's one per state. And I'm considered the local listing broker, and there's several in the state of California that are working with A-Team and HUD. So we're going to go over mortgagee compliance manager, the MCM. There's one nationwide contractor. The name of the contractor is Information Systems Network, Inc., ISN. They're based in Oklahoma City. They perform a variety of pre- and post-conveyance services to ensure that HUD's interests are protected. Conveyance condition, guidance to mortgagees regarding claims and conveyance, and ensure marketable title. The field service manager, that's Guardian Asset Manager for the state of California. There's one contract per state. They identify the FSM on the contracts tab of each property at hudhomestore.gov. The field service manager provides property maintenance and preservation services consisting of inspecting the property, securing the property, performing cosmetic enhancements and repairs, and providing ongoing maintenance. And we're going to go to the HUD Home Store right now, and I'm going to show you. We're going to start at the home page at hudhomestore.gov, and I'm going to select California because that's the state we're in. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to show you where the field service manager and all the contact information is for the agent, for the asset manager, and for this field service manager. Those are the people that you will be working with when we do the process of bidding and getting a contract on one of these properties. So we're going to go to this property here at the top. I'm going to kind of go over the property details quickly because you need to be familiar with this part of the process. It starts with the case number for the property, the eligible bidders. This one is for all bidders right now. The submission deadline is 2/27 at 11:59:59. That's in 10 hours and 52 minutes from today, right now. It will also go over the amenities, which it talks about some of the amenities, and then the addendums that you're going to print out when you go to the property to give to the buyer. And it will help you know the property before you get there as well, along with the MLS information. And you can also get these addendums. They should be downloaded into the MLS as well. This particular one has a lead-based paint disclosure, so that means it was built before 1978. So you're going to want to print all of these out for your buyer, so that, and give them a copy so that they understand the property. And then we have a map, which it's good. You can go in and you can put your address in and see how far it is from the property, and it'll give you directions to the property. And then the agent information is where I really want to take you. This is all the information for the asset manager, A-Team Realty, the listing broker, who is a Fuller Broker Company for this particular listing, the field service manager. These are the people that are the ones that take care of the properties. Okay, so that's the field service manager. The asset manager, A-Team Realty, they cover regions 5S, California and Hawaii, 4S, Nevada and Idaho, and then Arizona is 3S. So they cover all those states. The asset manager manages and markets sale process and properties. They ensure properties are accurately and competitively valued. They make sure the sales achieve the highest net return for HUD. They minimize the property holding time. They review and award HUD bids, purchase contracts. They handle closing and accounting of funds, and they provide customer service and measure client satisfaction. The HUD A-Team contracts local listing brokers to provide full listing service on HUD homes. That's what I am. I'm a local listing broker. We list the property on the MLS for the most appropriate and mainstream MLS for the area. We place signs in the yard. We provide routine inspections and reports. We perform BPOs and pricing advice. We do customer service and informational resource on HUD listings and sales process. We help the agents. We help agents through the process. We provide wide market exposure of the HUD sales process and the properties. We deliver the earnest money check to closing agent upon contract execution. So if you have a property that you placed a bid and it was accepted for your buyer, you will be in contact with the listing agent to give them the EMD, because they're required to download it and send it to the asset manager to confirm they have it. And then when the contract is executed, the listing agent will make sure that that earnest money deposit goes directly to the escrow company. And then we do quarterly agent training classes, which that's what I'm doing today. The sales process and how to sell HUD homes. Any realtor agent can sell a HUD home. Brokerages, not individual selling agents, must register with HUD. Actually, the agents register after the broker registers. And the broker will receive a NAID number when they register, which will be used by all agents in that brokerage. To become registered, your principal broker will need to complete the broker registration package. All information can be found on hudhomestore.gov. It's important to know the NAID package is sent to Regional Home Ownership Center through the portal. Accuracy is extremely important, and the process takes 6 to 8 weeks, and you must renew annually. So that means every year you got to update your NAID number. Who can buy a HUD home? Anyone. Buyers will fall into one of the categories: owner, occupant, investor, investors or government agencies with HUD-approved nonprofit organizations. Buyer types. Okay, so we're going over the buyer types. Owner occupants are given priority during the exclusive listing period, must occupy the house for 1 year and cannot participate in a HUD sales for 2 years after the purchase. So that means you can purchase a owner occupant house every 2 years, not any sooner. The investors will be able to bid during the extended listing period, and there's no restriction on quantity, and it's different bidding cycle than an owner occupied. Benefits of buying a HUD home. HUD pays up to 3% of closing costs and must be negotiated in the contract. The owner, and it's for owner occupants only. Investors do not qualify for closing cost. If a condo or townhome project approval is not required, only on HUD homes per mortgagee letter ML 2016-13, which extended ML 2012-18 that replaced ML 11-22. ML 1122 and the condominium project approval and processing guide updated, clarified, consolidated, and replaced the ML 2009-46B, which stated HUD REO condos are exempt from project approval, i.e. finance, which means insured escrow finance types have option of doing an FHA standard loan with escrow repair. Owner occupant priority bidding period, low EMD, 500, 1,000, or 2,000. Benefits of buying a HUD home continued are good neighbor next door. They call that the GNND program, and it's available in certain areas for eligible buyers. All homes listed on the HUDhomestore.gov nationwide. Quick response to bids, typically within 24 hours from bidding deadline. FHA 203 owner occupant rehab loan option. Did you know if FHA financing used termite inspection and treatment is paid by HUD? And the field service will only clear the active infestation. I do want to say, if you are an FHA financing and you switch to conventional or cash during the process, they will make the buyer pay for the termite inspection and the treatment that HUD has already paid for if you start out with the FHA financing. They have sealed bids and bid transparency. Properties are eligible for HUD special programs will list to a lottery round for 7 days before they're listed for sale to the general public. 2 types of lottery round eligible bidders are good neighbor next door and the HUD approved nonprofit government agencies. Information on becoming a HUD approved nonprofit organization is at www.hud.gov. The good neighbor eligibility will be indicated on the listing. Special programs for HUD, good neighbor next door. They're designed to enhance communities by offering discounts on HUD homes to firefighters, EMTs, police, and teachers. 50% of the property list price and 100 down payment. The requirements are the property must be located in a designated revitalization area. The buyer must live in the home for at least 36 months. The buyer nor spouse may not have owned title to property in the last 12 months. The bidder nor spouse cannot have ever before participated in the Good Neighbor Next Door program. You must bid 100% of the listing price. The amount of the earnest money deposit required is an amount equal to 1% of the list price, but no less than 500 and no more than 2,000. You can utilize any type of financing or cash deal. FHA financing on Good Neighbor Next Door must qualify for the entire contract amount prior to the discount. You can finance into the mortgage all reasonable and customary closing costs, including prepaid and real estate commissions. HUD will not pay any closing costs or real estate commissions. So real estate agents, remember on this sort of a bid, if you place a bid, you're going to have to negotiate that with the buyer. Bidding on HUD homes, the bidding process. Who can sell a HUD home? Any licensed real estate broker registered with HUD or agent employed by HUD registered broker. An NAID is required to submit a bid, but is not required to show a HUD home. Broker and agent also must register to bid on HUDhomestore.gov. HUD registered broker or real estate agent must submit bid on behalf of an owner, occupant, or an investor, or good number next door, GNN purchaser. Registered nonprofit organizations and government entities may submit bids without the use of a real estate broker or agent. So the broker and aid registration, you go to the HUDhomestore.gov, the NAID application portal, you'll select that. Then you go to where the green arrow is and you click there to go to the NAID application portal. It takes you to another portal. And in the portal, you can recertify your NAID. You can update your broker real estate license or modify an address. You can apply for a new NAID. You can replace the principal broker on a NAID. You can remove your real estate license from the NAID. You can find NAID and check application status, check NAID recertification and license expiration dates. There's a lot of information on this site. So you can see up above in the blue that for more details, you can go there as well. Please include the following with your completed forms. This is for the NAID application. You'll need an IRS documentation 147C letter. This is for your corporation. Or if you have an LLC, you would use your Social Security card or a DBA. You'll need a copy of your driver's license, a copy of your real estate broker state license, and a copy of the first page of a recent telephone bill, utility bill, or bank statement. And please have like them, the newer the better for them, because you don't want to have to delay your process by having an old bill. So make sure they're the new bills that you send. You will fill out the entire application, even if you're recertifying. Original signatures only, signature stamps are not accepted. If it's signatory to a voluntary affirmative marketing agreement between the HUD and the local board, checks the check box below signature, indicate board name, and do not sign under the non-discrimination disclosure. Use the most recent bill or bank statement possible. Additional information, NAID numbers must recertify annually. That means every year. It does not automatically renew. So every year you have to go in and submit new information that was on that list. So be prepared when you get ready to do that. If a selling agent or broker has an expired NAID, expired certification date, they will not be able to submit bids on HUD Home Store until the NAID is updated, recertified accordingly. And if you have any technical difficulties or technical questions with the NAID application online portal, contact the HUD Home Store help desk at 1-866-777-2034. And you can also email them at the email below, hudhomestorehelp@yardi.com. I've also added these numbers at the end of the slide presentation. So you'll have my email, my phone number as well on here. Registration to bid on www.hudhomestore.gov. Each selling broker and agent must register as a bidder. Principal broker of office must register first and have a valid NAID and completed the registration process before associate brokers and agents register. Broker cannot register with more than one NAID per state license. Brokers that have license in multiple states can be linked to multiple NAIDs. Principal broker can modify their NAID via the NAID application portal in order to additional offices and branches. So you're going to go into the HUDhomestore.gov. You're going to create a bidder account. It's up in the top right corner of the HUD Home Store website. It's easy and free. Even the public can register. They cannot bid, but they can register and go in and do searches and that. So I recommend you send your clients there as well if they're looking for homes. So you're going to register as a bidder in the top right corner. That's for agents and brokers. You'll need your broker's active NAID number and the state license and email and phone number. You will log into this account when bidding. So that's your information. You fill in the required fields using your username, password, and security questions. Make sure you put them on your phone so you don't forget, because it's not a portal that you use daily. Principal broker, associate brokers, and selling agents will select selling broker in the NAID type box. Then you will enter your information as an agent and put your email, your phone number in there. That's important because I've had brokers' information put under agents' information. So it can get kind of crazy because you have a very short period of time after your bid's accepted to get all the information downloaded into the portal. So that's why it's important for you to have your information as the contact. And then a message will display showing that you've been successful in your setup, or advising if you need corrections. If you needed to make corrections, and submit the form again. Otherwise, click OK to return to the bidder page. And also on this page as well, you will go in and see if your bid's been accepted or other bid accepted or whatever. So you log into your HUD Home Store to find out about the property that you bid on, okay? And you will go to www.hudhomestore.gov, and you'll be able to search for your buyers properties with specific criteria. And it's a pretty simple portal. It's easy to use. Now, how do you show a HUD home? Homes are vacant with a standard MLS lockbox or combo box at the time of listing. If the keys are missing from the lockbox or combo box, please contact the listing agent to have it replaced. Please note that all purchasers must accompany by a state licensed broker or agent when viewing any HUD home. How do I show a HUD home? All showings are subject to the state COVID-19 orders, recommendations, guidance, MLS board guidelines, and all CDC and local health mandates and or guidance regarding this listing showings. Do you need a pre-approval letter to submit a bid? Yes, purchasers must have a pre-qual letter or a pre-approval letter from a lender. I recommend having this with you when you place the bid. If it's a cash sale, you're going to have verification of cash funds. That would be required for a cash fund deal. You'll have to have proof of funds, and please try to make it through 30 days or sooner. And then, of course, please have your documentation prior to placing your bid. Importance of qualified buyers. It's extremely important for agents to pre-qualify their buyers prior to submitting a bid for cash or finance. Ensure to have buyers pre-approved with a reputable lender. If a cash buyer, ensure that you have proof of funds sourced. Agents should be aware of the PCR and disclosure documents on the addendum tabs, as well as how these may provide clues as to what type of financing cash may be necessary in order to close. Agents should only submit bids for buyers that have toured the property. This will provide the buyer a visual representation of the home's condition. It also helps you as an agent for not wasting your time having to go back and then cancel the contract. And it's much easier if you take the buyer to the property, show them the house, and then place the bid. That way you're confirmed that they know, you know, they want it and that they're not going to back out. What needs to be included in the pre-qualification or pre-approval letter? This is important because they are very strict about what needs to be on the pre-qual and a pre-approval letter. It needs to be printed on a lender's letterhead. It has to be dated within 30 days, and it needs to include the purchaser's name, the amount of the loan, pre-qualification or on the pre-qualification or pre-approval. If there's a note here, and if it's a pre-qual or pre-approval amount is less than the purchase price, the purchaser must provide proof of funds for the difference. The lender's contact information and signatures. And if this isn't on there, then they're going to ask you to go back and get it. So if you know beforehand, you're going to know that you can have all your ducks in a row before you place the bid. If a buyer would like to cancel their bid for unsatisfactory inspection, they must realize that the earnest money is at risk. HUD homes are not contingent on the inspection. They should also be aware that they will need to provide a copy of the inspection and circle all unsatisfactory items that were not previously disclosed. If unsatisfactory items were previously disclosed, their EMD will be forfeited. Selling agents should be aware of HUD's forfeiture and refund policy. Now, we're kind of talking about the forms. So I want to go here right now to, we're going to go to ateamrealtyinc.com, and under HUD homes, you're going to look at the HUD form library. And right here is where you're going to find all this information that they're talking about forms. Okay, changing finance form, that might be one you're gonna use. The utility activation form, amendment to the sales contract, an extension request form. The extension request form has to be to the asset manager 5 days prior to the close of escrow. And even if you think you're going to close in that 5 days, I've seen a lot of times where it doesn't happen. So if we get down to 5 days and we don't have loan docs yet, I guess you should probably do the extension. Contract release form, add purchaser, remove purchaser, modify purchaser. So there's a lot of information here at the A-Team Realty website as well. So you want to make yourself familiar with that and where the forms are. Agents and buyers should be aware that the repairs are not allowed prior to the close of escrow. This is a biggie. Your buyers cannot go in and change the carpet. I've seen it happen. It's not a good thing. Even in the case of vandalism, if the buyer requests a credit for damage, they should be aware these are reviewed on a case-by-case basis and are not always granted. Continuing for the qualified buyers, overbidding with FHA financing continues to be an issue. We encourage buyers to submit their bid based on what they believe to be appropriate market value for the property. However, please be aware that the purchase price for all finance transactions must be supported by the FHA, as is appraised value of the property. Please note that if it differs from the standard, this differs from the standard real estate sales in which the buyer may renegotiate the purchase price based on the appraised value. If the buyer wishes to renegotiate the purchase price of the HUD home, the contract must be canceled and the property will then be back on the market and available to all bidders, which that might be a chance that your buyers may lose the property if they go that route. The buyer's lender, so for overbidding with conventional financing, the lender will order a new appraisal. However, the appraised value must meet the purchase price, or the buyer will need to come up with the difference in cash between the appraised value and the purchase price. Property listing codes. IN, UI, HOA, F, lead-based paint, insured escrow. These are the property condition codes. F stands for flood zone. The property is located in an area where coverage under the National Flood Insurance Program may be required to obtain a loan. HOA, Homeowners Association. Property is covered by Homeowners Association, which will most likely require HOA fees and dues to be paid by the home occupant. LBP, lead-based paint. Property was built before 1978 and may contain lead-based paint. Addendum. Form must accompany the sales contract. If the property is built before 1978, the lead-based paint addendum will accompany with the contract. The contract is populated by the bid, and all the forms that HUD needs are all in the contract when it comes through to you for digital signatures. Lead-based paint stabilization. Stipulations for HUD to complete a lead-based paint assessment. It has to be built before 1978, owner occupied, FHA financing. It must meet all of the above conditions. Requests made to the FSM for inspections through the AM P260 at contract execution. So the field service manager is going to go through that AM through the P260 at the contractor, and the P260 is a portal where they communicate. HUD will fund up to $4,000 for stabilization. Exceeding $4,000, HUD will, at their sole discretion, they will either cancel the sales contract and the buyer will receive their earnest money back, or they will allow to change financing to 203K conventional or 203K streamline, only if less than $10,000. That's in repairs. More. Review the LBP addendum with the buyer if applicable before placing your bid. And I showed you where you could get that, and it's typically on the addendums page in the HUD Home Store. The rest of the financing codes. In IN, insurable. Property meets FHA 203B financing requirements for no obvious repairs necessary to insure FHA loan to buyer. Insurable escrow. Property eligible for 203B FHA loan, necessary repairs total less than $10,000. UI, uninsurable. Property requires more extensive repairs after the close of escrow and is not eligible for FHA mortgage insurance in the property's as-is condition. Insurable with escrow. There are no repairs prior to closing. Do not let your buyers in the house by themselves, because you never know what they're going to do. I've seen many different things in the last 12 years, what's happened with some of these properties. The repair escrow only applies to FHA 203B financing. It's added to the mortgage. The sales price remains the same. The list of required repairs. The lender is responsible for the repairs, the licensed contractor, and determining the repair amount. That after that's been figured out, then you're responsible as the agent to send that to the asset manager so they know how much the FHA 203B financing is going to be. Properties will be listed as they become available. Lottery properties, those properties include special programs, general market listings, all other properties, sealed bidding or exclusive bidding. Bids will accumulate over the entire length of the bidding period and will be reviewed the day after the close of the period. Timelines are stated. They're stated on the HUD Home Store on the the property. So when you click on the case number and the property pops up at the very top, there'll be a timeline. I showed you that earlier. Daily bidding or extended bidding, that's a 24-hour bidding period. So it will say 10 hours and 5 minutes or whatever you may have left for the bidding period, and that's central time. Lottery round listings are 7 days before the general market, only for government agencies, nonprofits, and good neighbor next door buyers. General market listings, insured with repair escrow, 30-day owner occupant exclusive. That's changed recently. It used to be 15 days owner occupant exclusive. Now it's went to 30 days. So they are going to have 25 days accumulated sealed bidding, followed by 5 days daily bidding. So after 25 days, they're going to go in, they're going to open up all the bids, see if there's an acceptable bid. If there is, they're going to take that bid and the property will go off the market. If not, if they don't have an acceptable bid, they will do 5 more days and they will look at the bids daily. All bidders allowed on day 31. So that means everybody can bid, including investors, after day 31. Uninsured, 5-day owner occupant exclusive sealed bidding. All bidders are allowed on day 6. And it will state at the very top what type of bidders that you will be that are able to bid on the property as it's listed on the actual HUD home store. Okay, we're going to go over closing costs and commissions. Closing cost on line 5, HUD will allow up to 3% of the purchase price of the property to go forward. Closing costs and closing agent fees. Buyer is responsible for closing agent fees that are not included in the bid. Buyer is responsible for closing costs if there is an insufficiency of funds to go towards closing agent fees. Enter the numeric figure, not percentage, on line 5. So I recommend if there's a question there, you could always call the closing agent, have them do a buyer's net sheet for your buyer to make sure that they're not going to have to come in with extra money. That's always a good way to do it. Commission line 6, HUD will allow up to 3% of the purchase price of the property to go towards agent commission. Line 6B will populate 3% for listing broker commission. Please make sure this is populated, as it cannot be changed after the offer has been accepted. Lines 5 and 6A affect the net to HUD. Closing costs paid by HUD, proration of property taxes, and any special assessments such as homeowners association fees and utility bills. Condominium or HOA transfer fees, if applicable. Cost to provide condominium documents to purchaser. If paid in advance, seek prior approval to ensure reimbursement. 1,000 minimum commission for properties listed at 33,500 or less. So we're talking about minimum commissions for agents right now. So this is an example property listed for $40,000 and the buyer bids $26,000 and has an acceptance standard 3% commission applies for each side. HUD will pay up to a 3% selling broker commission for all other properties. Bid can submit 24/7 but are not reviewed on federal holidays or weekends. Bids submitted on Friday will be reviewed on Monday, unless Monday is a federal holiday, then it will be Tuesday. Daily bid deadline is 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. There's no time preference in bidding. There's a timeline on the actual property itself, so make sure you look at that. Then you'll know when your timeline is to get the bid in. In fact, if you go on there and it said you have this much time till the bid opens, you can prepare yourself in advance to place a bid on that property and have all your ducks in a row and everything ready to go when your bid gets accepted. A buyer may only submit one bid per property during the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday timeframe, if those days all fall inside the same bidding period. Additional notes about bidding: Friday, Saturday, and Sunday bids are considered in the same bid grouping. Holiday bids are grouped within the previous day bids. Winning bids selected automatically by HUD system. If a team receives 2 acceptable bids, which are the exact same amount, the bid will be selected in the order it was submitted. If you place a bid you wish to withdraw, you must cancel this bid prior to the day's bid deadline. Cancellation of your bid. Reasons for canceling: failure to remit contract, failure to submit an accurate contract package. Earnest money will be returned to the selling agent by the listing broker. Agent cancels voluntarily. Bid cancellation form sent to selling agent to be submitted to the closing attorney for release of funds, or the closing agent, which would be your escrow. So you want to send the bid cancellation form to the escrow as well, because if the escrow has the earnest money, then that way they can release it. And the cancellation form is going to be found at the A-Team Realty website under HUD resources. So that's where you're going to get that information. We went there already. Checking the bid results. On the bid deadline day, all offers are reviewed and then accepted, rejected, or counter offered. You will be notified via email if your bid is accepted, and the information will be posted on the HUD Home Store under your bidder functions. So you can log into your bidder functions, and you can look and see if your bid has been accepted or rejected or whatever. It will tell you in there. The local listing broker is available to assist you with submitting your contract, earnest money issues, and buyer select closing attorney information or your escrow information. That would be up to, you can call me anytime if I'm your listing agent, but typically you're going to go under the listing agent information on the HUD Home Store, or you're in your MLS and get their information and call them if you need help on the contract or anything pertaining during the process. I mean, I try to help as much as I can with the process through escrow as well, because I like to get my job done quickly. So, and I like to be of help to the agents as well. So all offers, these are for counter offers. So all offers within acceptable range of the threshold will be countered with the final acceptable net to HUD. Because your bid may not only be the only offer countered, please respond with your best offer. Do not counter offer with a counter. Earnest money deposits amounts are in certified funds only. Cashier's check is the best, I think. You can also get a postal money order. The selling agent will be responsible for delivering the earnest money on all awarded bids to the listing broker. So you as the agent, you're going to be responsible for delivering that to the listing agent. It has to be done in a very timely manner, and the listing agent should be calling you within hours of getting your bid accepted. So that way you can communicate with them and they can get with you, because we're on a timeline as well. The listing broker will only accept certified funds and will verify the correct amount of the earnest money and the name of the payee. The payee will always be the closing agent. The closing agent is your escrow company. It would be, so say for example, if you're using Chicago Title, the cashier's check would say pay to the order of Chicago Title. And you would always want to call your escrow company to confirm the name that needs to go on the check of the certified funds and the EMD. So the listing broker will ensure that the earnest money is remitted within 2 business days of contract execution to the closing agent. So may be entirely or partially forfeited or refunded if contract fails to close. Specifics outlined in forfeiture and extension policy. E-signature process. So HUD has new e-signatures. It's totally easy. It's made the process 100% better. I love it. I'm so glad they did that. So anyway, when an agent places a bid, additional information is required that was not previously needed. You want to make sure all your information is accurate to avoid delays. Read all of the instructions and follow up in a timely manner. Read all emails from DocuSign, HUD Home Store, and A-Team Realty to ensure a smooth process. Also, you need to read your emails from the listing agent who's going to help you through the process as well. And for me, you can call me anytime. I'm happy to help. Adding your escrow company. As you type in the buyer's selected closing company name, a drop-down list of closing companies will already establish with a title ID will all appear. So this is kind of cool because then you can select your escrow officer. It puts all the other information in their phone numbers and email, the address, and that. This is during your bid process. What if the escrow company is not listed in the dropdown? If the company location is not listed, continue typing and complete the fields with the company information. A title ID will be established for the closing agent. Make sure you upload the attorney, state license, and E&O insurance for verification. So if this happens, you'll want to make sure you have all your information, and you'll call the escrow company, and I believe they can download their information into the portal as well. Or if it's expired, which I've ran into that before, I just call the escrow company and kind of give them a heads up. I'm going to be, placing a bid and we're using you. That's kind of a nice thing. And then you can always get your buyer's net sheet for them to find out closing costs. That's just being proactive as an agent. So bid acceptance. Agent will be notified by an A-Team Realty agent that their client has been awarded the bid. Agent must submit the certified funds, earnest money check to the local listing broker within 2 business days of bid acceptance by HUD. Like I said, if I'm the broker or the agent that is a listing agent, I'm going to be calling you. Listing broker will be complete the earnest money received receipt and send it to A-Team Realty that we've received it in a timely manner. We communicate with A-Team as much as we can so that they kind of know what's going on with the process. A-Team Realty will email a link for the selling agent to review online contract package prior is be sent to the buyer's agent for e-signing. So selling agent, you will need to be aware that A-Team Realty is going to be sending you an email with the contract package confirming everything is correct on there. And if it's not, you should need to call them and make the necessary changes before that signature page goes out for DocuSign. The buyer e-signs and the selling qualified broker e-signs. So your broker will be signing the contract. In order for a contract to be sent out for DocuSign, the agent must upload the items into their checklist for approval within 48 hours of bid acceptance. The items are that you will need to include, and they will list to you exactly what you need. Proof of funds or pre-qualification letter as applicable. Earnest money receipt confirmation form attached on bid acceptance email with copy of cashier's check. Broker designated signer form if applicable. So if your broker's on a vacation and there's someone else in the office that can sign for your broker, that broker will have a designated signer form for them so that the deal's not held up if they're in Zimbabwe or somewhere in another country, which has happened on a couple times for me when I've been doing HUD properties. So trying to get the broker signature sometimes was a little difficult, but with the e-signature now, it's pretty easy. The listing broker will provide the buyer's agent with the earnest money receipt confirmation and upon the receipt of the EMD. So we will give you a receipt of the earnest money deposit. So after your bid is accepted, you're going to log into the HUD Home Store account and click accepted bids. Reviewing the contract package. Once a team is able to generate the e-signature envelope, the agent who placed the bid on HUD Home Store, you'll receive an email via DocuSign to review the contract package before signatures are requested. The agent will not sign anything at this time. They are reviewing the package for accuracy. Approving. Once they click on the finish and confirm that the package is ready for signatures, emails are sent to the parties needing to sign in the following order. So the broker designated signer will sign first. So you might want to call your broker or who's to sign the contract and let them heads up that it's coming through and they need to be watching out for it so it's not stuck in limbo. And then the buyers, it will go to the buyers next. And if there's multiple buyers, it'll send it to one buyer and then it'll send it to the other buyer and then however many buyers. If the two buyers are like husband and wife and they're using the same email, one will sign and then it will come back through and then it will sign to the next one. And then it will go to the buyer selected escrow officer, the closing company. And then it will go to A-Team Realty who signs on behalf of HUD. And then as soon as they sign, then everything comes back to everybody, gets a copy of the contract, and that's a completed contract. Do not forward the contract for signature via email. The system will do it automatically. So don't print it out and do it for them because it will automatically do it. So after you sign, that's it. You just wait for A-Team to finish signing and then the contract will be ratified. It's wonderful. Once A-Team Realty has signed the contract and they executed the file, all the parties who signed it will receive another email with a copy of the fully signed package, which you're going to want to send to your lender. If you have a lender, you need to get that over to the lender as soon as possible so they can start getting their stuff together because we're on a timeline to close this deal. If you have contract corrections, they give you 1 business day to return the corrected contract. The contract will be canceled or awarded to the next highest bidder if the contract is returned still containing errors. Submitting amendments, contract corrections, revisions, and amendments can be submitted via email. Various amendments can be found under resources on the A-Team Realty Inc. website. You'll find that at the very end of the PowerPoint. It will be there with everybody's information. Amendments are not valid unless approved in writing by both seller and purchasers. Only A-Team is able to modify terms of a contract and process any changes to the contract. Amendment information. Reminder, amendments may take up to 72 hours to process. Amendments will not be executed the day of closing, and failure to follow the above mentioned rules may result in a delay or rescheduling of closing. When you're under contract, home inspection, optional but highly recommended. There's a 15-day due diligence period for owner occupants. The borrower will be allowed to get a home inspection anytime during the process. You must have the field service manager authorize your home inspection. Agent, you are going to have to download that page. It's under A-Team Realty, and fill it out and try to, I do want to say this one point here. When you're going to do your home inspection, you want to hook up with the lender and you want to try to get the home inspector and the appraiser there at very close within that time period, because the buyer has to turn on the utilities and they're only allowed to be on for so long. So if you can get those two people at the same time, that's going to be your best way to handle that situation. And knowing that a heads up, your buyer's not going to have to turn on the utilities twice, only once. And you have to have the contract signed by the field service manager before you can turn on any utilities. And then you have 48 hours to complete a home inspection after the last utility is turned on. Then you must turn on utilities. You must turn off utilities after the inspection. That's really important. The field service manager inspection request forms. No changes have occurred with the process. Please review the agent info tab of the property details for the FSM assigned to the property. If you have a problem, you can always call me if you can't find it, but it's actually under the agent resources on the A-Team website. So that's probably where I'm going to direct you, or I will have that form. A lot of times what I'll do is send you the form so that way you can get on it right away. Original utility request form and deposit, if applicable, must be sent to field service manager after contract ratification. Do not send utility request forms to A-Team for processing. A-Team does not process utility activation request. Purchasers' inspections may not be done until the signed form is returned from the field service manager. It is the purchaser's responsibility to activate utilities. Neither A-Team nor the signed FSM will activate utilities. If there is a fee for winterizing the home, sometimes they require a fee. What I recommend is email the FSM the form and then stick it in an envelope and send it over priority if you can to the FSM with the check in there if that's needed. Termite letters. Stipulations for HUD to provide a termite and a WDO letter. Wood destroying organism letter. State or zone mandated. FHA financing must have a lender required letter. So if you're having FHA finance, you have to, for a termite, HUD will do the termite if you have FHA financing. So HUD will fund and do the treatment and repairs. And if the property does not meet above conditions, the buyer can have an inspection performed at any time at their own cost if their contract is accepted. So if you're cash or conventional loan, the buyer can go ahead and have that inspection done during inspection period time. The buyer will be responsible if there's any treatment and repairs after the closing. So if they're going to do any repairs for the treatment, then it has to be done after closing. Okay. Reminder, buyers cannot move in or start repairs prior to closing. Selling agents accompany buyers, inspectors, etc. to HUD properties at all times prior to closing. So that means agents, if you're doing a termite inspection or a home inspection, you need to be there to let the inspector in. That's not a listing agent's responsibility. That's your responsibility. If you're working with me, I am fine for going and opening. If I have an opening to do that for an inspection, I'm happy to try to help you if I can, because I know it's a long way down the hill. But anyway, I do try to help facilitate the process as best I can on my end, as long as I get my own work done. The closing process. Okay, so the closing timelines are for FHA conventional. They close 45 days from the contract acceptance. Cash closings are 30 days from contract acceptance. 203 closing closes 60 days from contract acceptance. And all closings can occur prior to the timelines as long as Escrow submits the documentation to A-Team 5 days prior to closing date. So 5 days prior to the closing of escrow, if you don't have loan docs, you better be getting that extension form from the A-Team Realty site. And I'm going to be calling you or sending you an email saying, hey, 5 days prior, we need to have that over to A-Team Realty. Sorry about that. And the reason for that is I have seen so many times where the agent gets to day 5 and they tell me, yeah, well, the lender doesn't have the documents yet, but we're going to close. And I'm like, you need to send that 5 days prior, because if you wait till that day of closing and you don't close, you stand to lose your contract. So we want to make sure you stay in contract. So please get that sent over 5 days prior. That's really important. And here's the extensions. Extensions are per day fee, and it's based on the property sales price. And so 0 to 25,000 is $10 a day, 25 to 50,000 is $15 a day, $50,000 and above is $25 a day. And you get them in 15-day increments. And the total extension fee to the buyer is what the amount is on the right. And that's depending on where that property falls in. And so you need to have this form filled out, and you need to know whether your buyer is going to have to pay or what. So I'm going to go on here, and I think it explains it better. So extensions are purchased and granted in 15-day increments. If the contract closes prior to the use of all 15 days, the remaining per day fee will be prorated to the buyer and refunded by escrow agents. And they must advise closing attorney of these fees to ensure it is credited on the HUD. So agents, you must call the escrow company or the closing agent to make sure it's credited on the HUD. Extensions must be submitted in the form of certified funds, cashier's check or postal money order. Fee and request form must be submitted to A-Team 5 days prior to expiration. I'm going to be emailing all you guys. If you're working with me, I try to be on top of this and try to make sure that you guys fall in the right, line, so that we don't have a fallout of escrow. Hard copies must be remitted with the fee to A-Team's office. Fee must be made payable to HUD. Must include supporting documentation, including current lender letter or proof of cash funds and extension fee. So usually what they'll have is a lender letter or a reason why you have to extend it, for whatever the reason is. And you need to send it overnight to the address listed below, 16650 Southwest 88th Street, 210 Miami, Florida, 33196. Waived fees are available if the delays are by HUD or by A-Team or by the field service manager. Owner occupants will be granted 1 free extension when there has been a delay with financing and all buyer documents have been submitted in a timely, and it's at the discretion of A-Team. 2 free extensions will be granted in 15-day increments for 203K loans. A buyer will not be in reverse for lender lock rate extensions, regardless of the cause of delay. All extensions are subject to approval by A-Team. And this is why it's so important to follow the guidelines when you're doing HUD, because you really don't want to get to the end and have problems. You want to get it closed before the close of escrow. That's the goal. Pre-closing walkthrough. It's recommended that you complete the day prior or the day of closing. If the lockbox is removed, coordinate with the LLB to receive the key for the buyer. If there are issues, vandalism, contact A-Team and or listing broker as soon as possible. Closing will be postponed to attend to issues, and the extension fee will be waived. Post-closing, the buyer can now have utilities activated for permanent use and occupy the premises. Selling agent and listing broker coordinate to ensure buyer is able to gain access to the property. No keys are provided to the buyer and or buyer's agent. Buyer must have locks rekey, post closing at their expense. And I do want to say is I will have a lockbox, a coded lockbox, so you can get the lockbox or you can get the people into their access at your convenience. Put the keys back in for me because we're not allowed to give the keys. We're not allowed to give the keys out, and we're not allowed to give them to the buyers because it's an issue. It's a safety issue for the buyer and their property after the close, because a lot of people have these keys. There's a lot of field service managers out there and other HUD listing agents and that kind of thing. So you want to make sure your buyers are protected and nothing happens after the close of escrow to their personal property. A-team and advertising. May I advertise HUD homes? Yes, any agent can advertise HUD homes. Please abide by the following guidelines. You can advertise HUD homes in a professional, ethical, and positive manner. Please refer to properties as HUD homes, HUD owned or HUD acquired. You can always include the equal housing logo. I do want to say that always include the equal housing opportunity logo and statement on any and all advertising, including signage, websites, flyers, etc. So please put the equal housing opportunity logo on all your advertising if you're advertising HUD. Note any floodplain zones or any warnings information as it appears on the property's internet listing if applicable. Adhere to all federal, state, county, city, and real estate commission advertising regulations and the Truth in Lending Act when advertising HUD homes. When showing HUD homes, always secure the property, all doors, windows, and please put the key back in the lockbox. These are things not to do. Advertise HUD homes before they're listed for sale or to the general public. Do not use HUD or FHA logos as seals. HUD Handbook 4001-1A 6NII12. State or imply the list price of the property differs from the list price shown on the website. So double check. When you're doing advertising, the property's been on the market a while, always check the HUD home store for the listing price. If the listing price has changed, that's a benefit to you to change that on your marketing because that's going to bring maybe you another buyer. Do not give out HUD keys. Do not refer to or advertise HUD homes as distressed, repo, or foreclosed, repossessed, must sell, or any other adjectives with notable negative connotation. Place signage in on any HUD property except the listing brokers. So you're not allowed to go in and place your information on the HUD property on the interior or the exterior. Do not destroy, damage, or remove the advertising or signage of another HUD registered selling or listing agent. You can advertise newspaper, homes and magazines, flyers, billboards, seminars, social media, internet, postcards, message boards, email lists, Craigslist, TV or radio, Facebook, Instagram. You can do all that. Thank you for watching this video, and right here is the information that you will need going forward if you need to contact one of us. This is all on the HUD Home Store. So the help desk, I don't know if that is easy to find, but it's a good number to have on hand. Thank you for attending, and I really appreciate your time, and hopefully you've learned some stuff, and be alert to go onto the Goodspeed Team YouTube account. So I'm going to be updating periodically shorter videos on how to search for HUD homes for buyers and other things. So thank you again for watching the presentation, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.